up, cellar dwellers? This is Jack Thorne from Los Angeles once again for the Movie Sellers Month of Horrors. Terrors Through Time. I am now up to the 2000s and very excited. One of my absolute favorite horror authors of all time, and I know one of Dan's as well. Maine's own Stephen King, The Mist, by Frank Darabont. Now, Frank Darabont, when he read the story of The Mist, which is a novella which actually is at the beginning of Skeleton Crew, the collection of stories, short stories. So he read that and he decided he wanted to do it for his first film. He was excited. He was ready to go, and he wanted to do it, but he got the opportunity in 1994 to do Shawshank Redemption. So obviously that went very well. And then 5 years later, he got another opportunity to do The Green Mile. And obviously that did very well also. And then after those, he got to know King pretty well. And he got the rights for The Mist from Stephen. And decided that he was going to get going. He got, for the lead, David Drayton. He got Thomas Jane. And Marcia Gay Harden, in just one of her favorite roles, my favorite roles of hers that I've ever seen, as Mother Carmody, Mrs. Carmody, just oh my god. And a lot of great supporting characters, Laurie Holden, Andre Brower, Toby Jones, William Sadler, Jeffrey DeMoon, Francis Sternhagen, Sam Witwer. So, bunch of great people in this movie. So they shot it in Shreveport, Louisiana, and it took about 10 months, and they finally got the film out, and the film did pretty well with critics and fans. It did relatively well. Not as big as the first two, but it still did well. And now, what I did is Frank Darabont always knew when he was making The Mist, he always knew his original vision for this film was like of a 1950s kind of Twilight Zone episode, or Outer Limits or something really freaky and weird, but had that old grainy quality to it. So that old school science fiction horror film, like from the 50s. And so what he did was he always knew that he was going to do a black and white version. So he did, in addition to the regular version, he did the black and white version. And personally, I think the black and white version is much better, and Darabont agrees. I think they should have released it like that, but, but it with the type of violence and the type of gore and the creatures and stuff in this movie, it really does work really great in black and white. So I chose to go with the black and white version. Anyway, let's get into the plot. So in Bridgeton, Maine, there is a severe thunderstorm, and it's just, I think, modern time. Severe thunderstorm, electrical storm that brings down trees, and one tree crashes into David Drayton's house, our main character, and destroys a painting that he's working on, which actually is Roland in the Dark Tower that he's working on. And it's funny, you see The Thing and from John Carpenter's The Thing and a couple of other stuff sitting around on paintings that he's done. So he does paintings for books and films and stuff like that. But so the tree busts through his window, and and then he goes downstairs, and his son tells him, he's got a little boy named Billy, and Billy tells him that the neighbor's tree has crashed into the boathouse. So he goes and he looks, and then he decides to go over. Now, apparently, he's had problems with this guy before. This is Andre Brower's character, Brent Norton, who has sued David in the past and just been an all around not pleasant neighbor at all. And so Drayton tries to go over there and get the insurance information from him. And they wind up saying, oh, you're going to go into town and whatever. So they decide to go into town together and, get supplies and whatever. Because everything's down and no electrical and all that. So they take his son and the three of them head into town. And they go to the local store, which I think it's called like the food shop or something like that. Or the food home or food house. I can't remember what it's called, but it's some really silly name like that. So they go into the store, and they, right as they're getting in there, there was a little bit before that, a mist started coming in off of the lake, out of the mountains. And they were like, that's strange. And it starts getting thicker and spreading more, and it starts, spreading out or whatever. So they go into the store, and then they see that the mist has like come right up to the parking lot and stuff like that. So they go in, and people are starting to talk, and then the mist like surrounds the supermarket that they're in, and this guy named Dan Miller, played by Jeffrey DeMunn, he runs in screaming and yelling and talking about his friend that got killed and whatever, but he couldn't see it, and he didn't know what was out there, but he was sure that there was something out there that was attacking them. So they go back inside, and they start like stacking the dog food bags up on the windows and stuff, and like they start getting ready to like kind of make sure nothing comes in. And they go to the back. David goes to the back and checks out the generator to make sure it's working, and it's smoking and overheating and stuff. So he turns it off, and then the other guys from the town come in, and like William Sadler and them, and like the box boy or the bag boy that works for the market. And they're going like, oh, what's wrong? And he's going, oh, well, the generator goes, okay, no problem. We'll just go outside and fix it. And he said, there's probably something clogged up in it. And they're going like, no, you can't go outside. There's stuff out there. And they're going, no, and so they start taking it. So like, these are like small towners, and these are like, simpler people. And so he's right away like got an attitude against Drayton, because Drayton has a college degree and is works with the movie studios or whatever. So like to him, he thinks he's like Mr. Big Shot City Man, and he's just a small hick. So he like takes that attitude with him right off, and basically tells him in not so many words that, hey, we don't need your, college education here. We're smart enough just on our own. We can handle our own problems. We don't need you. And so, anyway, this kid goes out. She tries to go out the garage door to get outside. And sure enough, these tentacles start coming in. And they grab him, and like they try to stop him, but this thing is way too strong. And it just pulls the kid out and just kills him. And it takes it away. So they get the door down again, and the guys that were talking shit a minute ago are all going, I didn't know, So, so they go to the front, and so this woman named Mrs. Carmody, played by Marcia Gay Harden, just amazing Marcia Gay Harden, and she starts preaching that the mist is some kind of divine judgment and punishment from God, and that they have to sacrifice something to God to get him, to appease him, and to get him to stop punishing them. And at first, everybody's just like, okay, she's a lunatic, nobody's listening to her at first. But the more stuff that happens, the more bad things that happen, and the more Mrs. Carmody talks, the more and more people start listening. But then they try to tell Brent Norton, his neighbor, Andre Brower, and they try to tell him about what happened, and he's a lawyer, so he takes it really personally, like saying, like, what did you think I would believe you? And this is ridiculous. You're taking and you're pushing a joke way too far, and they're going like, no, we'll show you, and like you could tell he just doesn't want to hear it. So he takes a group of people that are that have decided that they are with him. They want to leave, and they strike out and they try to leave. One of the guys has a rope around him, and they go out and they're gone. And they pull back the rope, and it's just got the bottom half of the one guy's body. So there's stuff out there, and it's hungry, whatever it is. So everyone finally now understands that they're in deep shit, and that something is very, very wrong. Now, meanwhile, they're also trying to keep people calm. So there's a teacher, Amanda Dunfree, who is Laurie Holden, and Mrs. Irene Repler, who was the older teacher. That's Frances Sternhagen, and she's great. So they try to help like maintain order and keep people calm, but these insects start gathering. Like it comes nighttime, and these insects come out and start like they look like giant like moths or I don't know what they are, bees. I don't know what they are. But they start like crawling around like on the glass and stuff. And then some kind of pterodactyl creature comes out of the mist and gets one of these things, and it like cracks the window a little bit. So then you start getting more of these pterodactyl things flying, and people are screaming and backing away from the windows. And then next thing you know, one of these pterodactyl things gets into the damn store, and it takes everything to kill this thing and to get the chaos over with and get things under control again. And only like 2 of them get in, and it's just David Drayton almost dies trying to kill this one. And so anyway, as this is going on, Mrs. Mother Carmody is like continuing to talk and spew her brimstone and fire, preaching about the evils of them, and they need to repent and they have to sacrifice. And she starts talking about sacrificing the kid Billy, and yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But so then she starts calling for them to sacrifice, and they decide to take one of the guys in there who's like there's a military base in town called and it's called Project Arrowhead or something that they're working on. And so Sam Witwer, this guy Jessup, he's a soldier who works up on in the base. And they start saying, it's him, it's because of the base, and like they start like grabbing him like they're gonna lynch him. And he starts going like, it was a mistake, we didn't know what was gonna happen, it went wrong, we were doing an experiment, we were trying to figure out how to get into under dimensions, and like it didn't work, or like we couldn't get it closed again, and now it's stuck. And so they kill him. And they shove him outside with the monsters, and then just he's gone. And so at this point, Drayton knows that they got to get out of there, but he knows that they need a lot of supplies, like medical stuff and stuff for wounds and all that. So they decide that they're going to go next door to the pharmacy. So they go over there and they start trying to get all these medicines together, but they're attacked by a whole bunch of these spider creatures, and they see that a bunch of people have been cocooned like in webs and stuff, and they see Brent Norton, his neighbor, and he's going like, I didn't know, and he's all, I can feel them, and spiders start like erupting out of his face and stuff, and his body basically explodes into a big giant bunch of spiders, and it's disgusting and crazy, and I loved it. Anyway, so the next morning, after all this chaos and the sacrificing, that's when Miss Carmody decides that the kid Billy needs to be sacrificed. So Ollie, one of the guys who works at the store that has been helping David Drayton the whole time, he's one of the few people that has had a level head the whole time. He actually had a gun, and he's been, using it here and there to help them. But right here, he decides that he's heard enough out of Mother Carmody, and he plugs her right there. And nobody does a damn thing. And I say good. But yeah, you know what they say. When you have a crazy leader like that, you cut the head off, and then the chaos stops. Anyway, but the chaos does not stop here. Because once he gets Mother Carmody, there's still, everybody is just in chaos, and they decide that, small group of them with David Drayton decide that they are going to take their chances and go out. So they get the car. It's him, Amanda Dunphy, the teacher, Mrs. Repler, and Dan Miller, Jeffrey DeMunn, and Billy. So they're driving through the mist. They get through. They get away from the store. They get pretty far, and eventually they see a giant creature. And these are like Lovecraftian creatures, like giant, like nightmares from another dimension. And yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, so they see one of those giant things, and they're just like, oh my God. So they go and they run out of gas, and they go as far as they can, and they still haven't reached the end of the mist, and they're still hearing monsters roaring and stuff. So they've got 4 shots left in the gun. David decides that he will take care of the other 4, and Billy's asleep at this point. He's not even awake. But the other 3 decide, there's no reason to try and go on. So he kills all 3 of the adults, kills his own son, who's sleeping, as a mercy. And he says, I'll figure out what I gotta do. And so he screams after doing it and just collapses to his knees and screams. And then he gets mad and he starts screaming out at the mist, walking out into it, come and get me, come and get me. And he hears the roar of the monster a long way away again, but then he starts hearing vehicles and voices. And out of the mist comes a tank. And the military is coming, and the mist is clearing, and the monsters are gone. And David collapses to his knees because he realizes that he just killed his own son for nothing. And that's it. Whoa! What an ending, huh? Anyway, The Mist by Frank Darabont. And again, I cannot reiterate enough how much better I think the black and white version is. It's incredible. Works way better, especially with the monsters and everything. But the acting, incredible. Thomas Jane is fantastic. All of the supporting characters do a wonderful job. Marcia Gay Harden, Oscar-level performance as Mother Carmody. I just love this film all the way around. I've always loved Darabont's interpretations of King's work, and I still think next to Flanagan, he's probably the best King director there is. Anyway, so that's it. I gotta give this, the black and white version, I'm gonna give a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's that well paced. He doesn't overdo music, so it's not syrupy. The intense parts are actually left quiet on purpose, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. The acting, the directing, the way that they did the monsters, the special effects that they used, just everything about it is just perfect. It's perfect. It's hands down one of the greatest horror adaptations of a Stephen King book I've ever read or seen. So that's it. Is it scary? Yep, it is. Yeah, when you've got Lovecraftian creatures outside the door, the glass window of a supermarket, and that's all that's between you and them. Yeah. Is it a good Halloween movie? I don't know, maybe in the background or something as just fun, but yeah, I don't know. But if you're actually watching it, it would be good. Yeah, actually, this is probably one of the more typical Halloween films that I've done. So yes. Anyway, that's it. Jack Thorne, Los Angeles. Movie Seller, Month of Horrors, Terror Through Time, The Mist, Stephen King. Watch it. Later, guys.